All right, this right here is the low point for the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, they haven't been playing well, and wins have been tough to come by, but the Chicago Blackhawks were coming along at the perfect time for the Avs to get back on track. Why not a blowout against the worst team in the league by far? And they couldn't get the job done. The Avs lose this thing 3-2 to Chicago. Where do the Avs go from here? Is it panic button time? A lot to get to. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Locked On Avalanche. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making this your first listen of the day. And you're probably tuning in not happy campers right now because the Avalanche just lost to the worst team in the league. We'll get to it, and definitely a sound check, which you're going to want to hang around for because that's going to be a good one. First things first, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. That's always appreciated. Follow us on our social media outlets, LOP_Avalanche on Twitter, Locked On Avalanche on Instagram. Questions, comments, concerns, and opinions to lockedonavalanche@gmail.com. And follow us on our YouTube channel over on YouTube. Hit subscribe to get notified when a new show goes live. All right, Mr. Shaggy. The one thing that I love about the NHL is the parity. You hear that all the time with the NHL. And, the parity in the NHL is unlike any other sport, and that is true. But there's always those few teams that aren't included with that parity talk when you're talking about the NHL. You always have those, they call them bottom feeding teams that are so far outside of how everybody else is playing. And when you discuss the parity, you can't include those couple teams. The Chicago Blackhawks are one of those teams this year that you cannot include when you're discussing the parity of the NHL. And as poorly as the Avalanche have been playing, we all know the talent on this team, and we all know that they're capable of playing better, and we all know that you're going to go through ups and downs during the course of a season that's 82 games long. It's not going to be all, sunshine and rainbows for 82 games. And you were just expecting the Avalanche at some point to snap out of it. And you looked at this game and you're like, this is it. If they can't beat Chicago, how much of a panic should we be in? We'll answer that question a little bit. But right now, this is the low point for the Colorado Avalanche. And I'm sorry, if you can't beat the Chicago Blackhawks, you got a lot of work to do. And clearly the Avalanche, if the Avalanche were winning and things were going okay and you dropped a game here and there and you lost to Chicago, it's still a bad loss. But the way that the Avalanche have been playing, you just thought they would look at this and just sense blood in the water, and you got more of the same for the Avalanche.
Let me transition into Statty Von Doom for a second. Let me rattle off some stats for you. This was Peter Mrazek's third win, his first since December 3rd, 2022. The Avalanche have won one game in their last 7. One power play goal last week against Vancouver. This team is, on paper, good. On the ice, they are bad.
Right now they are. Yeah, no, on paper they're good. On the ice, they normally are good, and this is still a good team that's just playing bad. I still feel like that. This team cannot keep playing like this. They can't. No. They're way too talented, and I'm not even talking about the guys that are out. Forget about that.
Yeah,
we've said it over and over ad nauseum that the guys that they have out there right now, they should be winning games. Maybe not blowing teams away, but you should be winning games, and they just simply are not doing that right now. So yeah, on the ice, they're not good right now. They're not playing good,
and there's nothing you could say to say, oh no, they're playing. You can't redeem. They just lost to the Chicago Blackhawks. with Nathan
Yeah.
McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Mikko Rantanen on the ice.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you're rolling out there. If you're rolling out those three names, you have a fighting chance. And with the contributions you've been getting from Cogliano and Erod, you should have a chance. This should not have even been a contest, especially if you've taken the long track look at how Chicago's been playing up to this point. There's really, other than the injuries, but I mean, come on. The roster you have is a good roster. They should handle this team. And when we roll through the stats in a little bit, they didn't in any category, not one single category. This team is not cohesive. They're not playing together. Nothing looks right. They can't do anything right on the power play. Me and you could get out there with blindfolds on and probably have more success than this team with a man advantage on a power play. There is not one redeeming quality of this team, and it's so frustrating. You put this team in a simulator, put them in NHL 23, put this roster up against anybody, even the Canadian juniors team. They have a fighting chance.
You look at like the teams that they are playing. Like, so they came off of that 4-game winning streak, and that was right before Christmas. And then the first game after Christmas, they lost to Arizona. And you know, that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like, if you've been winning and then you lose to the Blackhawks, it's still a bad loss. But you're like, okay, like losses are going to happen. And I think not people were okay with that loss, but you're like, you just had a 4-game winning streak. It's your first game after the Christmas break. Maybe you're going to be a little bit flat. Okay. You lose to the Kings. Kings are a good team. Even though that was a shootout loss, you blew that lead. That was like, you had that game. Kings are a good team. You lost to them. Follow that up by the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs are a very good team. And, you know, that was not a good looking game. Then you lost to Vegas Golden Knights. They're a good team. The Canucks was a horrible loss. That was a terrible loss. Then you beat the Oilers. Then you lost to the Panthers that kind of just ran you pretty good. And now you lose to the Blackhawks. So there's, you know, you lost to some really good teams, but then you've also lost to 2 really, really bad teams. And those are the ones that are going to stick out. Like there's games. It's very tough in the NHL to just say like, oh, that's supposed to be a winnable game. This was one of them. This was absolutely one of them. And I don't care if you're coming in on a 10-game losing streak that you're playing that poorly, that you have a 10-game losing streak. You should still, where who you are as a Colorado Avalanche, and you keep throwing the defending champion thing out there, which, you know, we will do for the remainder of this season because you are, you still have that title. You're not playing like it. You're not playing like it. Just to finish this up, the next game you play is against the Ottawa Senators. I don't know what to expect from that game right now. I'm not confident going into that game.
And you just listed off a bunch of teams that you quantify now in hindsight as good. Going into January, we talked about this is a very winnable schedule.
You're right.
Now they look good because you beat Colorado. Colorado's making bad teams look good because of their play on the ice. The Kings now feel like they have a chance. Vancouver, that team is an absolute mess. They're having players having to go back because they can't even handle injuries, right? And everybody wants out of there. They'll be traded for a Timmy Hortons coffee right now just to get out of Vancouver, but they can beat this Colorado Avalanche team. And it's hard to look ahead at whoever we have. It could be Vancouver. It could be the 1972 Boston Bruins in their current age. And guess what? I don't even know if this team could beat them. On paper, you make every case in the book that this team should do this, that, this, Nathan McKinnon, this, Cale Makar, this, Mikko Rantanen, this, and then we got Lehkonen, and then Evan Rodriguez, he's doing great. Doesn't matter who's in goal. But this team, when they get out there, it takes a period and a half to get going. They can't pass. They can't quit tripping over their own feet, making a power play transition. Shots aren't hitting the net. Nothing's working. You lose the game, and then we're talking about, you know, there might be Chicago has a chance. They have a good core. Mrazek, he might not be that bad. His numbers might lie. We make everybody look good right now.
I mean, when you have a double minor power play, right? That, you know, last year's Avalanche team would put their foot on your neck and make you suffer for that. And the Avalanche got I think it was 1. Somebody else said 2. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or if it's 2. Let's go with 2. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they got 2 shots on goal. You get 2 shots on goal on a 4-minute penalty. And by the way, those 2 shots came with less than 5 seconds left on that power play. When I saw that, I was like, okay, like just give up on the power play, at least for today. Give up on the power play so you can go to practice and work on it. And it's just, well, I mean, how many total did they have? 5?
5.
5. 0 for 5 on the power play. Again, we're going to compare this team to last year's team. You give last year's team 5 power plays and they will make you, there's no way that they would lose that game. And it's just one of the many things that the Avalanche are just struggling with right now. We'll get to more of them. Our change is on the way. And is this panic button time? So I'll give you a little preview with mine. I'm not like pressing any panic button right now. It's just really bad to watch. Really, really bad to watch. But first, let's hear from Built Bar. And if you're looking for a delicious treat but don't want all of the fat and calories, then you got to try Built Bar. And we just got through the holidays, and a lot of people have those New Year's resolutions set up to eat a little bit healthier for the coming year. And if you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise on taste, then we have got just the thing for you. Which flavor is that, sir?
This would be the raspberry.
Raspberry.
Oh, so good.
And you know what? I don't typically like raspberry flavored things, especially raspberry chocolate flavored things, but that one is delicious. Delicious. So what makes Built Bars so good? For starters, they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Who doesn't love 100% real chocolate? And they come in unbelievably delicious flavors like the churro puff, which is a favorite of Kyle, the peanut butter brownie, which is a favorite of mine, and the coconut almond, which is a favorite of both of ours. And if you're not sure how Built Bar does it, but these bars, we are not sure how Built Bar does it, but these bars taste just like candy bars while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are healthy. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, and a whopping 17 grams of protein. And by the way, you don't have to order them at Built.com. Well, you can order them at Built.com if you want to continue to do that. Feel free. You can now also get them in store at Walmart and Sam's Club. So no more waiting for the mail. If you got to run out and get a delicious Built Bar, you can do it right now. Go to that 24-hour Walmart and go get you some Built Bars. But like I said, if you do want to get over to Built.com, I would check them out as well, because they're always coming up with new flavors to send out to people. So check it out, Built.com, and get healthy for this new year. All right, sir. I guess let's start with the panic button thing. I'm not there because there's still a long way to go. Like that was game 40, right? So you have half the season left to go. This team has the pedigree of a championship team. I'm not using the injuries as an excuse, but you are getting guys back. Like I'm not in like full blown panic mode. But maybe it's more immediate. Maybe the panic is more immediate. It's not for the duration of the season, but it's right now. Like you can't like how this team is playing right now. You just can't. If they were just getting beat and just flying around the ice, you've seen glimpses of it. You saw it in the third period the other day. It's just they're having trouble just getting a full 60, to use the term. And I still have all the confidence in the world that they can turn that around. But that doesn't take away from the fact of what's happening in the here and now. And what's happening in the here and now is not good hockey by a defending championship team. And even having said that, if you look at the wild card, they have 3 games in hand against the Edmonton Oilers and are 4 points behind them. So, when you look at the standings, they're still in it, but it doesn't give you any like hope. Or not, I shouldn't say that. It doesn't give you any hope. It doesn't make you feel good just the way that they're playing.
Okay, let's look at it this way. Like standings wise, there's still a chance.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Telling me there's a chance, of course. Like,
Yep.
Yes, there's a way. But we're looking at this team right now, as we sit here on this Friday, looking at this team can't win anything. We can't start thinking about defending the cup. That's out. That's gone. We just want to make the playoffs. This team right now, I don't even think they can make the playoffs the way they're playing on the ice. And let's play devil's advocate, my buddy Chris. Look, for everybody listening, you hear that? That's me pressing the panic button. What is our first step? What do you do? What do you do if you do press the panic button with the way this team is playing? What is the first thing you do? Bring in another piece? We have pieces. Like, you have pieces that should be able to score goals and win games on a nightly basis. Why are you going out there and trading for another piece? Depth scoring? You need more out of your top line scoring. Like, what are you trading for? Defense? You have defenders out there. You have all-star caliber quality defenders out there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do if you're pressing the panic button now? You know this Avalanche team is not playing the right way, but how do you fix this team, the current iteration of this team on the ice?
I like I said earlier, I think that the main thing is so much revolves around the power play.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That just gets you going. Power plays are more than just being a man up and getting a goal because you have that man up. That carries over into so many other aspects of the game. And the Avalanche aren't doing that. They're not getting those. I don't want to say power plays are like free throws, but you get what I'm trying to get at, like with that connection. They're there because you have such a big advantage with a power play. And when it looks like you don't have a man up on the ice, it's just all in the psyche right now.
Yeah.
It's gotten into your mind that we can't carry this puck into the zone. And when it gets knocked away, it's like, all right, we got to go reset and try this thing again. Like, it's just, you give it the old college try once again. So the power play is really bad. And then if you're having trouble scoring goals, okay, like teams go through that, then you've really got to make sure your defense is shored up. And because you always hear that saying like, oh, the goals will come. And for, when you have goal scorers on a team, it will. But what do you have to do in the meantime? Defense wins championships, and that's true for every single sport. So make sure your defense is on point, and it's just not. They're just losing track of guys. They're just skating around. They're just chasing. They have terrible positioning. It's just broken. It's all broken. So it's literally back to the drawing board.
Yep.
Let's go through our training camp and preseason drills that we have to do to, remind everybody how we play defense, because you've had injuries, but the guys that you've had these 6 guys as your pairings for how long now?
Yeah.
So it's not the excuse. You can't use that as the excuse. And that gets to the next question of changes for the roster. Trades aren't going to happen right now. They're not going to happen right now. And with all these teams up against the cap, like, you need to accrue as much cap space as possible right now. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen by the trade deadline. If any trade happens now, that's going to be minor. It's going to be your Mulligan trades. The team that's been out here right now, they've had this team for a couple weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much during this losing streak is the team that they keep putting out there game after game. If I wake up tomorrow, I'll give it till lunchtime, and I don't get notifications that the Avalanche have sent down players and brought players up, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. If you have this stretch where you're playing like this and losing games and losing to the Chicago Blackhawks, and you don't send certain guys down and bring other guys up, I might just lose my mind. Because how are you defending this? How are you defending how this team is playing right now? And specifically, let me go to, let me just check. I want to check. So Martin Kaut played 7 minutes and 10 seconds. Jacob McDonald played 3 minutes and 17 seconds. McDermott played 8 minutes and 18 seconds. Like, we have to stop doing this. We have to stop giving. What Kale play? 27. Okay, that's a walk in the park for Kale McCarr, and I shouldn't be saying that. A walk in the park for Kale McCarr should be 22, 23 minutes, normal. And I know defense is struggling right now in terms of bodies, but if there's no changes made, we're just the definition of insanity right now.
This is why you're my best friend. That is exactly that's if I was thinking the exact same thing midway through this game. There was a pass that Martin Kaut made that was it lacked every ounce of energy. It was like, I was like, if we do not start freshening up this roster with the fill-ins that we have, if we don't start filling in the fill-ins and start making those moves again, I'm going to lose it. I'm so glad you said that. It's like verbatim of what I was thinking halfway through this game. The short shift and the non-existent fourth line that looks discombobulated when it's out there. The McDermott project, he's nice when we're winning games and having perfect months for that physicality. He's not providing anything right now. I love him to death. He's a great guy, wonderful human being, but you're not helping the team. McDonald, all over the place. Very high, very low. We got to freshen it up. There has to be some roster changes from the bottom that you can use 4 lines and rest the ones that are actually contributing and try and force some new production so we could cycle these lines a little bit later down the road, because we have a 2-game break coming up after a back-to-back. So it's not so much like you mentioned the trades. That's our next endpoint. We got to make it to the trade deadline. That's the end of our season.
Yeah, and I think another reason why they're not going to do trades right now is like they want to see where they're at by the trade deadline. If things are continue for the next 2 months, I mean, trade deadline is early March, I don't know the exact date, but so let's say 2 months, they're gonna get a good look at this team for the next 2 months, get some players back, and if it's worth it to do a trade, you do it. But that's not happening. It's not happening right now. I don't know. Like I think Kaut has to go down. I've been a big supporter of Ben Myers, but I'm just not seeing, like, he looks good when he skates, but he's not getting anything towards the net. He didn't have any shots on goal. I don't know. He looks really good coming from the defensive zone through the neutral zone. And then when he gets into the offensive zone, it's just like when guys just collapse on him, he just loses the puck. And I think that'll like get better as he grows and just know how to facilitate and where his teammates are. You know how Mikko and Nate just know where each other's are? That's because they've been playing together for 37 years. So he just has to come around with that. Do you send him down for that reason? I don't know. I mean, it hurts more when you're losing, and just say like, we can't suffer that stuff right now. But I think you're going to have Malgin. I don't know how long he's out for. I initially thought he was day to day. So if he comes back, and again, like, he's no savior or anything like that, but he was playing pretty well. So if he comes back, that's one guy gone. It's got to be Kaut. And then do you maybe flip flop Myers and bring Foodie back up, give him another shot? I don't know. Like, whatever they want to do, I generally don't care right now. Just make some sort of move so I just get like a different look and just get some new fresh blood injected into this team right now, because it's so stagnant. It's just
there's nothing you could justify this roster in its current construction as being a successful roster after you drop a game to the Chicago Blackhawks. There's nothing.
All right, let's hear from Bet Online, and then a couple more thoughts on this game, and then, of course, a sound check to get to. So, betonline.net. It's your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from the pro football playoffs to basketball to the NHL. So if the Avalanche can beat the Ottawa Senators, a couple days. I don't know.
I have no idea.
You can find all that at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at betonline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. That is betonline.net, where the game starts. All right, so stats in this game. Well, you outshot the Blackhawks. Congratulations there, 33-30. Hey, look at that percentage on the faceoffs, 55-45. Where have I seen that before?
They were only winning 25% of the faceoffs in the first period.
Yeah. So they improved, is what you're telling me, as the game went on. There you go. Hang your hat on that. Of course, the 0-for-5 on the power play. Blackhawks 0-for-3 of their own.
So you're saying our penalty kill is good, is what you're saying, huh? I can hold on to that. I can go
honestly,
to sleep
the
with that.
penalty kill is gotten better, I feel like. But Evan Rodriguez with the goal, Nathan McKinnon with 2 assists, Mikko Rantanen with an assist, and Cale Makar with the other goal. You feel bad for Alex Newhook because thought he had a goal that tied it late. You also feel bad for him because he took another puck right to the face a little bit earlier. That dude's face is getting mangled this year. But he had what looked like the tying goal. It was reviewed on a coach's challenge and overturned for goalie interference. And it's one of those that really toes the line for me. Because it was called on Mikko Rantanen, and Mikko was right. Mikko wasn't in the crease or anything like that. He was fighting for position. And right as the puck starts going in his vicinity, he's fighting for it. There's a defender on his back the entire time. And he didn't get like cross-checked, but there's enough jostling between the two of them where Mikko hits the ice. And that's when the puck goes right to Newhook, who's sitting on the side of the net, who just hammers it home. And they rule it because that Mikko, the way that he landed, again, by a lot of pressure from a defender, the way he landed was kind of on either the arm or the pad or somewhere on the body of the goalie. They deem that goalie interference. It's one of those things where it's like there's no definitive rule on exactly what goalie interference is. And for the simple fact that, I mean, Mikko is literally, his whole weight is forward, while whoever the defender was he's basically giving this guy a piggyback ride. And for me, because there's so much going on there, I didn't think they would overturn it. It's one of those things where it's like, I didn't think they would overturn it, but if they called it in the moment, they wouldn't have overturned that either. So I was a little bit surprised that they did overturn it upon review.
2 things. That has to be the 3rd or 4th goal that has been reviewed and taken away from the Avalanche in the past 4 or 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's been all the time. And it's always pushing and offsides and sloppy. On the other hand, they overturned a goal and took it back against Chicago. You should have been up 5-1 at that point. Mm. It's one of those, don't put yourself in that position where that is going to be the subject of your game. Having to come back against the Chicago Blackhawks with Newhook in a mangled face, has to score a goal to tie the game. Did I say it's against the Chicago Blackhawks yet? Have I mentioned that enough? Have I beaten that point in enough?
Yeah.
Like, you should not be in that position. It happened. Mikko again, late. Frustrations abound. Take the L, baby.
And Mikko was not happy about a shoulder he took to the face, which there was no call on that. He gets up, they go to the other end of the ice, and the Blackhawks eventually score. That was their 3rd goal. You gave up the first goal of the game, which, again, even at that point, I was like, it just seems like that's what the Avalanche are doing all year long, is giving up the first goal. But the first shift of the game, they were kind of buzzing around, the Avalanche were. And I was like, okay, that's a good tone setter, at least. You came out kind of cruising. But this team I joked on Twitter that I was Googling experts in hockey body language. to come on as a guest, because you just see it. It just seems like they get defeated, and they don't have that killer instinct to come out shift after shift after shift to get back in the game. It's only like here and there. Like if a new line comes out and they get the drop on the opposing team, then for that shift they're on it. But if they're in their own zone, my God, they are just chasing. They're chasing everybody, and there's no desire to like, let's tilt the ice and go back and get a nice exit and go down on our end. It's just, let's just hope nobody scores. Let's get it out. Another line comes out and we'll give them a shot. You're not seeing the rolling of the lines that just come out with this tenacity. And you're just not used to that being an Avalanche fan.
Honestly, what it reminds me of is growing up in Alabama, not having professional hockey or minor league hockey. You go watch men's league hockey, and that's what it looks like. It's just a bunch of puck chasers. Like everybody's like, there's no positions. There's no, everybody's just chasing whoever's got the puck. And hey, if there are 2 or 3 guys over there, I guess I should be looking around for somebody trying to get a pass. But there's no drawn plays. There's no positions. It's just everybody's looking for somebody. And if you don't find anybody, just chase the puck. It's bush league.
Honestly, man, like in the third period, like as the third period's going along, I'm sitting there and like I'm thinking, like, even if the Avalanche win this game, I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
You're not happy with how they're playing. And if they have to escape Chicago with skin of your teeth win, you normally love that if you're playing other teams. But I'm sitting there, even the Alex Newhook goal, I gave a fist pump, but I'm sitting there like, it's 4 minutes left in the game and we just tied it. And I'm sorry, but that just should not be happening against that team. And in the second period, you don't have a shot on goal until there's like 8 minutes left in that period. Everything about this game is just glaring, is just showing you the glaring issues for the Avalanche right now. And like I said, like I feel like it'll turn around, but man, like what's got to happen for this to turn around is just, we kind of listed a lot of stuff off. There's got to be changes roster wise, and you got to go back to the drawing board. Having said all that, we will get to our sound check and wrap things up with that. This will be an interesting one. So Kyle and I always pick a song that we feel best summarizes the most recent game, and this one is actually the Avalanche and the Chicago Blackhawks. These songs go on a playlist, which they are already on the playlist over on Spotify. Just search for LOA Soundcheck Volume 2. What do you got for this one, sir?
Sorry, I was wiping the nose from the soapbox I was standing on being on this team. And it's not stopping yet. This song, when you hear it in the playlist, you are going to treasure this song for the rest of your life. This song is from a band called Even Worse. Apropos, I know. Well, just listen to the song. It's called We Suck. And it's just 2 minutes of we suck, we suck. We know we
That's
suck.
all they say for the entirety of the song.
It is punk rock to it is to a T.
It's just 3-chord jamming of
it is like it's like Scott it's like Sex Bomb from Scott Pilgrim. It's that kind of punky, so run with it.
All right, I'm excited to listen to that. Actually, I might be on repeat tomorrow to and from work.
It'll make you feel better.
I went with a song from Ghost, one of my favorite bands right now. Although the newest album I'm not too crazy about, but it's still good. It's still good. But their best album by far is an album called Meliora, which came out, maybe like 8 years ago already. That's crazy to think about. But they have a song on there called From the Pinnacle to the Pit. And that is, we are living that right now. We are at the pinnacle of the sports world. You're carrying the trophy that everybody wants. And right now, you are at rock bottom. You are at rock bottom, and you have gone from the pinnacle to the pit. And as the song says, it's a long way down. So hopefully the next sound check, we're crawling out of that Scarlac pit, but
Time to start busting out our Find a Way t-shirts again.
Yeah, right. Let's get these too many men. I'll play with too many men right now. Hopefully they won't even see that. The refs might let us.
Hey,
They're like, hey, you guys need an extra player out here.
What's Joe Sakic doing?
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and making it your first listen. We do appreciate it, even in these difficult times right now for the Avs. So we'll see what happens over the weekend. So they have the Sens on Saturday, right?
Yeah, it's Next Generation night, and then Detroit's on Martin Luther King Day.
That's an earlier start.
It's an early day. I cannot wait for that game.
Let's see. 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Yeah, cool. All right.
It's going to be I believe there's a bunch of fanfare. It's going to be a really good environment. So
yeah,
definitely want to check out.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Be angry. It's okay. We get it, but you still got there's still a handful of games to go, a half a season to go to turn this thing around. So for Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, I am Chris Maselli, and this is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys later.